All right, we are here with our first episode of On the Road to Greatness.
On the road again.
Yes, sir. And the
I
first thing
can't
you
wait
just
to get
heard
on the
was
road
my brother
again.
from another mother, C Square,
Yo,
Christopher,
yo.
and I'm your host, Elton. Elton is the name, music is the game. What's going
Mm,
on, folks? So this is it. We finally made it. How do you
we're
feel, Chris?
finally here. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I've been waiting. I feel like we've been waiting to actually start recording an episode for s- 2 years, and I think it's only been a couple of months, but it's happening and it feels good.
Yes, sir.
Um, I think that this episode is going to be really great. There's a lot of things that I think our listeners are going to stick around for. We're going to be talking about some pretty hefty subjects and some beginnings in terms of what this is, what it is that we do, what we're striving for, and maybe where we hope to transform.
hmm Man, that is so true. One thing I like about this show is it basically we get to talk about our day-to-day lives, not only from a personal point of view, Chris, but also from the perspective of our viewers. Hey, how do we do this? How do we get out of this? How do we handle, hey, we want to get a new car, but we want to help, we need help with our financing. All these things and more, we get to help not only ourselves, but our listeners. And that's what I like about this show.
Right, and maybe not even just finances, or we may not always be focusing on entrepreneurship, but maybe we're going to be talking about health, marriages, relationships, your frame of just how you think on a daily basis, and really what makes
Just
you
to sum
know
it up, we're talking about life. It's
yeah,
a
we're talking
journey.
about life and how to navigate through it
Yeah,
to your ultimate
and
greatness self, to your
that's
great
right.
self, to who you were meant to be. Because God says, He's like, I want to give you life abundant, and that verse has always stuck with me because I've always thought, okay, so there's something more to what is going on here. Um, I want to explore that a little bit. What does that mean, and how can I have a life abundant when this particular lifestyle is all I've ever known? Um,
hmm
so
And
yeah,
go ahead.
no, I mean that was really just it. Just it's all I've ever known, and it's like, how do I, how do you change your frame of thought? How do you, how do you basically how do you change? How do you make the decision to just suddenly switch, from
You
one
know
frame
what
of
the
mind
fun
to
thing about
another?
Oh, I'm sorry. But I was saying the fun thing about this podcast is some of the stuff that we're going to be helping our listeners with is stuff that we ourselves going to be improving on because, we're just two guys
Absolutely.
who are trying to just get to our greater self or to just improve ourselves, just one day at a time.
Absolutely. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? Why don't we talk about a little bit about that day? You called me, you left a message. I don't think I got to it right away, and then I listened in, and you were like, "Give me a
Yeah, you
call
heard me,
as
all
soon
right.
as you can." I mean, I don't know if I swear to you. I think I had a lot going on, but
Man,
like,
I
give me a
didn't
call
call
like
him.
right away.
Like, click. Nah, nah, nah. That's not what happened, man. But I do
Call me
know.
right away. So I call you the next day, and you're like, "Yo, um, bro, you remember that time?" And then you were like, basically we were in the car together. Um, let's talk about that. Tell me
Well,
what.
we gotta back up. We gotta back up. We gotta go way back. How far back? Man,
Way back.
back to the Garden of Eden, man. How?
Back as far as your yeah, as far as you can
Okay.
go.
So we always, I mean, back when you lived out here at the Walla Walla campus,
Mm.
man, some good times, which was so long ago, it was just a year ago.
Isn't
But
that crazy?
I know,
Man,
man,
time has gone by so
and
fast.
imagine it's already 2019. It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, last year you were here, and you was getting your education at the U, as they call it locally, but Walla Walla University. And
You
remember,
dub.
we'd spend a lot of time just chilling, kicking it, Friday nights watching Stairway to Heaven. But it was some good
Mm-hmm.
times, man, with some ramen. Oh man. But we were
Yes,
just
sir.
talking about, hey, the struggles as we know it and how it can be, you know? And I always would encourage you, man. I'm reading a lot of books that are helping me. And I know I introduced you to one of your favorite hosts who has his own podcast, but he wrote this excellent book, The Secret to Success, Eric Thomas, aka ET. So,
E.T.
we always been talking about, hey, getting from point A to B, improving ourselves. And then fast forward to that time I was driving, I was listening to this station on my Sirius XM, this group of guys, I think it was Taking the Heart, hosted by Kevin Hart. And he was just talking about, just cracking jokes, talking about anything and everything, basically life from his point of view, with all his friends, the Plastic Cup Boys. And I was like, yo, I could be doing that. It won't be on the same level and platform as him, but we can start.
Mm,
Who's to say it won't end up there in a couple of years, right? And I was like,
absolutely.
man, nothing wrong with cracking jokes and everything, but I wanted it from a perspective where, it's about my day-to-day life, but trying to improve it. And how do we get that done? By getting the people who have done it, who are the expert in their field, and just sharing the process on how to. And basically, I was like, man, let me tell my boy Chris about this. So I called him that night, and he probably was too busy. So I tried again the following day, and he finally heard it, and he was like, you could be onto something. I'm down. Let's do it. And it was born, the road to greatness. And I've discovered this on the road to work. So I was like, man, this life we call life is a journey. And what we do can either, make us better or just, keep us stagnant. It's all up to us. It's not how you
Right.
start, it's how you finish. So,
Right.
it's a journey and it's a process while that journey is taking place. So I said, hey, let's name this Road to Greatness. And that's how this got started. And I'm excited because the best thing about this show is while we are talking about lessons that we're learning, we're actually applying it, and we're learning it, and that's why I like this podcast and where it's going to go.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought when you hit me with the idea, I thought, what an amazing idea, and why didn't I think of it first? But it doesn't really matter, you know. This has been a really good experience, and really we've been kind of 3 or 4 months into this.
Yeah.
Even though now we're just recording, we've really just been trying to figure out the ins and outs and really kind of where we want to take it,
Mm-hmm.
and how we want to present it to people. We've been really careful and methodical about it. It hasn't we I guess we've been taking it, I don't know, just to that next level beyond the podcast. It seems like a lot of planning, but I think it's been really good in understanding kind of what it is that we're wanting to do and trying to do, and essentially just inspire people by meeting people who are inspirational and
Mm-hmm.
who have gone through um, life circumstances just like maybe we have, and we get that story, and uh, I think what it would be good is to know a little bit more. I think there's a lot that I don't even know. Like, we don't really know about each other. I think, why don't you share with me a little bit, kind of just, you know, what kind of things that you feel like you've had to overcome that makes you great today?
Wow, that's a good question, man. Man, what are some of the things I have to overcome that have made me great today? Man, I mean, wow. I don't have anything particularly, but this is one thing I will say that I have naturally that made me a better person, today is curiosity. I've been very curious about so many things that it has caused me to see the world. You know, curious about, hey, how do someone get up there in the sky and we know us flying? And that's what brought me to Walla Walla. That's what brought me to get, my training in flying.
So where are you from? I mean, let's. I know where you're from, but can you tell me a little bit about before Walla Walla and
I got you.
why you decided to even? I mean, I'm sure there's educational opportunities in the island, maybe not as
Oh
you
yeah,
know
I get
as good as Walla Walla, but I mean, let's talk about that. Like, why did you decide to leave and everything that you know, especially when you just returned? You recently were just there, right?
yeah, that's right. I went back to
Um,
the U.S. Virgin Islands for Thanksgiving actually, and
mhm.
man, it's looking beautiful as ever, man. And I hope very soon I'll be back there chilling on the beaches again. But yeah, I was born and raised in the U.S. Virgin Islands, born on the island of St. Thomas, and I grew up on the island of St. Croix. And there I
Same
received my
story.
education from St. Croix Seventh Adventist School. And after graduating, I always had a desire to see what's out there. I've lived on the island all my life. I've traveled now and then, but not as, not often. And I always just had a longing to just discover what's out there. So I said, I'm not going to school at the University of the Virgin Islands, also known as UVI. Much love for them, have a lot of respect. My brother went there, but I wanted to see what's out there. So I went to
Mhm,
USC, and for those, I'm not a Trojan. I didn't go to University of South Carolina. I'm talking about University of the Southern Caribbean. I'm a Usian,
mhm.
and that is located in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And it was a blast. I met so many friends from all over the world, Latin America, Central America, India, Africa, and throughout the Caribbean. So many places. It opened my perspective on, you know, uh, I guess, society from different creeds and, how different people interact. And I got a great foundation there about, life in a whole. Then my dream have always been to become a pilot. From the time I know I was a little boy, I being a pilot was one of my dreams. And while I went down there to do my general studies, which I went there because the added advantage was I got a tuition scholarship there. So
Mm,
after doing that, I went there and I did my general studies, just to make a long story short. And then I transferred up to Walla Walla University. And
ooh,
that's where I got to taste flight. Now, keep in mind that my first flight was done on the island of St. Croix, and that was just my first intro flight, and it just opened up a fire for me to want to fly. So after doing that, and going down to USC, I said I have to be a pilot, and that's what brought me up to Walla Walla, the Northwest Washington State. And let me tell you, it's been a blast. I've met so many grand people here that are still part of my life to this day. And I can say, the journey keeps on going where I meet new people such as Chris and many more, who one day I
mm,
hope will be listening to this, man. But
yep.
it was just awesome, man. And that's where I got to learn how to fly. And I'm currently, working on finishing up my private pilot license. But for now, I'm here. I graduated 2017, and I'm now helping people go green by helping them go solar. So that's my story
Yeah.
now, and it's a great, great experience thus far. And now it's a new year. We're started a new project, even though it started last year, but we're officially going to put it live this year. And boy, I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. That's
So that's
awesome.
my background. Chris, tell us about yourself.
Um, you know why I really love this show and how we're Kogas is that we are a lot alike, and at the same time we have very different
Facts. That
beginnings and backgrounds. And so, um, I'm originally from Portland, Oregon,
whoop whoop rip.
um, Rip City, and I had no plan really for my life. I was told in high school that I would not make it to college. That my academics and just I think behavior as well. They just said that you're not going to be able to make it, and so I thought, man, I think today if I heard something like that, I'd be devastated. But at that point in time, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I never really planned on going to college anyways. I never thought I would be the college type. And so I think I had already had it in my mind that there really wasn't anything else. Um, and then I remember I was living with my grandmother at the time. I had kind of gotten into a lot of trouble. I was sent back up to Portland from Texas when I was living with my mom, and she had just decided pretty much that it was time for me to go, and I think she needed a break, and I needed it. Ended up being really good, a good thing, difficult, different, a lot of learning lessons. But long story short, my grandmother pretty much, she was the type that if I was going to live under her roof, I was going to have to go to church. That was a no deal situation. And I think I argued and I put my whole spin on it. Well, what kind of a God would make somebody go to church? You shouldn't be making me go to church.
Hmm.
And but she really didn't. She wasn't having it. She just said, "Nope, you're going." So I met Pastor Paul, and he turned out to be such a valuable person in my life.
Amen.
And I don't know what it is that he saw in me, but he just really took to me and really just like made me made me like one of his buddies. He would just say, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" And so he spoke Spanish too. He would say, "Hola," "Cómo estás?" or something like that. I spoke a little bit, so I would, kind of respond, but I was
Hey.
very limited. And so I came to him one day after we got to know each other for a while, and I said, you know, I don't know what to do. Um, At the time, I was dating this girl, and she had moved to Eugene, and she wanted me to move in with her after
Mhm.
high school. And I was seriously considering it because, like, in my young mind, I was like, "Oh, move in with my girlfriend, and right after high school, and on my own. That sounds great." You know what I mean? I had no
Mhm.
plan. I had no plan. And now when I think about that, I think, "Oh, how naive were you, my friend?" But I went to him, and this was something that I don't know if I would have done before, but I went to him and I said, I'm just kind of faced with these challenges, not really knowing what to do. And he said, "Well, you consider college?" And it's like, I said, "No, honestly, like nobody, I've been told I wasn't able to go, and I don't know where to get the money." And I had all these different reasons, and nobody in my family had ever gone to a four-year university except my aunt. She actually attended the same college. Actually, she lives out here in Spokane. I live in Spokane now,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, she went to the same college for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Um, she got her, I think, her education degree.
Oh, nice.
But that's it. Like between her and I, we're the only ones to really attend a four-year university like that. And I guess I kind of gave the spoilers. He said, "Have you attended college?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Well, I want to take you somewhere." So we planned it out. He drove me up with my grandmother to Walla Walla University. He introduced me to people that he knew, and one very key person, Cassie Regenovich, as we know, the money guru, able to find finances where finances can't be found to get people in. But man, just sure enough, I got in, and from that point on, my life has never been the same. It has not been easy, but it has never been the same, and it has not gotten. I wouldn't say it hasn't gotten worse. It's just gotten challenging.
Hmm.
And as I've grown through all of that and the people that I've gotten to meet that I would have never met and the experiences that I had that I never would have had. I mean, I was a missionary one year where I went to Micronesia and I taught sixth grade, and I thought, what am I doing here? Like, I was, somebody that just, I mean, I was a street kid. You know what I mean? I had a
Yeah.
single parent mom. Um, you know, home pretty much by myself and to chill with friends or do whatever it is that I wanted to do, run around, get in trouble. And then here I was, in charge. They said that I was qualified to take care of 15 sixth graders
Oh wow.
at the same time. And I thought, wow, like this is so unreal.
Hmm.
So, anyways, long story short, I graduated from there. Um,
What year?
I actually graduated 2012.
Oh, right on.
And then from that point, I hadn't really accepted, like I suppose religion or anything like that or God. I had tried, it was a challenge for me. I just kind of made some poor decisions, and so after college was rough, you know. But I kept kind of pushing through. I moved back to Portland and had some experiences that I'm sure I'll bring up later on in future episodes. But
Oh yeah.
a lot of learning curves, a lot of hard lessons. Um, but today, I have a beautiful wife and a beautiful daughter. She's two,
That's right.
and
Yeah, my brother.
yeah, and I'm going to school, finishing up prereqs, and trying to go to school for physical therapy.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going after my second degree,
You know.
and
Oh, go ahead. Finish up.
yeah, I mean that's in a nutshell. I don't want to go on forever and
I was saying that's what I like
wanna,
about this show, man. I mean, our listeners just heard two different backgrounds, two different perspectives, and the joy of this and the beauty of this show is we get to learn it with them, the step
right.
by step, because there's someone who's probably in your situation right now. They're probably just
Yeah,
finishing high school and they just don't know what to start. They're probably just gonna take the nearest work at Walmart down the road, McDonald's, or probably just go work at some vocational skill at some warehouse, doing whatever, and
yeah.
that's probably all they think that they can aspire to. And it just takes someone to just give some word of encouragement and say, listen, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with it. It is totally honorable. But if you want something more, you can get it and you deserve it because you can achieve it if you just, put your mind to it,
I
And
think with me, like looking back too, like I never, I think, worked hard enough to want something more.
hmm
But when the opportunity presented itself,
right.
one thing I was very good about was thinking it through and then usually taking that opportunity. So when I was, approached with the opportunity to go to college, I thought, hmm, I don't know why I can't remember why I decided to go that route instead of moving in with my girlfriend at the time, um, or why I thought that I should be a missionary, or why I thought I was only supposed to even attend it just for a quarter. I wasn't even supposed to really stay. He just said, my pastor said, if you like it, awesome. If you don't, just try it for a quarter. Just try it for a quarter.
Mhm.
Um, and people just were so supportive of that. They were so, how's school going, and how are you? And I know some of the church members even helped fund other kids that went there from my church,
Wow.
and help kind of some of their funds they would help pay for school, and I'm forever grateful for that. And my grandmother helped me, through that, and of course, I worked part time. Um, but yeah, I mean, it just absolutely such a crazy experience. But yeah, I've noticed that I usually I'll take that opportunity because I think in the back of my mind, even though like I may not see beyond,
Mhm.
I've always felt like I'm meant for something more. Like I want to do more. I have something to say. I have experiences, and I have something that I can offer a certain group of people that may not know that may feel like this is it.
Man, that's a great story right there, man. And that's the truth about our lives, each and every one of us. We do have something more because the truth is, each of us have a purpose that only us, only, you, Chris, me, Elton, you, the listener, can fulfill. And no
Hmm.
one can do it like you can. But yeah, that's the beautiful thing about this life we live. Each of us have a purpose that only we can do, whether it be Chris, your purpose is your purpose, same thing for me and same for you, the listener. And that's the beautiful thing about this journey we're on. We just have to find it, you know? And whether it
Yeah,
is through the passions that we enjoy from our hobby or what we do in our free time, it's just so many ways, and so many things out there, that we can discover. We just have to be
right.
curious. And that word that comes into play again. Curiosity is what got me, a lot of opportunities. It's just, hey, you see something that you wanted to know, hey, what's going on over there? Nothing wrong with going and checking it out. You know what I mean? You're curious
No.
to learn how to better your business. Nothing wrong with go checking that out. You're curious
Yeah.
enough to know how to level up to get to that eight figure, check. Hey, you just have to be not only curious enough to go find out how people do it, but willing to work hard to do it. You want to get to that better physique in your body, to that next level where you're looking like Thor, or you're looking like, man, somebody who's just ready to bust that shirt off. Man, you just have to be curious to figure it out, you
That's
know.
right.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to get my beach body on, you know. But with all that being said, man, you just have to be willing to go where others just take it for granted and said, "Oh well, I'll just keep on walking." You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how's that working out for you? That beach body. I'm sure
Oh,
our
it's working
listeners
out
want to
great.
know. They want to know like how that beach body is
So for
going,
those
how the
who don't know,
ladies are
man, I
going.
hit the gym 2 days in a row. I started from last year, but it's coming to come. I'm cutting down on my weight right now, but it's not only just for weight; it's just for longevity, a way of life, a lifestyle. That's what I'm after, a lifestyle,
Hmm.
not just for a season, but for an eternity. You know,
Right.
and that's what we're after. We're trying to change not you for a season, but change you to your road to greatness for your whole. That way, your whole life can be one that is full and earnest of what you filled with, great memories of what you wanted to do and you overcame and you achieved it.
Right. Yeah. What do they say? You don't get old. Um, how does that go? You don't get old by stopping and playing.
Oh
Remind me how that
no!
goes.
You say no. You
I'm
get old because
terrible.
you stop playing. You don't
That's
get old
right.
because you stop playing. You get old because you stop playing. Well, I repeated it the same way, but
I think everybody's probably heard that. I'm terrible with those anecdotes, but I think I definitely we know what we're talking about.
yeah.
And yeah, curiosity, that's such a key thing. Um so I want to switch over and talk a little bit about what we're starting here and why why it's important that we started this. And um, I want you to tell me, if you can, a little bit about we what we let me start. Let me go back a little bit. We had this
Yeah, man.
experience right before a
Mhm.
recording where we met this gentleman. He was originally from Louisiana,
That sounds about right. Yes, at Walmart. I remember.
and yeah, we met him at Walmart. We were actually looking for a um, uh,
A selfie.
something for the camera,
Yep.
and it was pretty late. We get there, and there he is, and I wasn't sure really what to expect. Like, he kind of sounded like he wasn't into it on the phone. I was kind of like, oh, this guy, like, he just kind of sounded like he just didn't
Wanna
want to be
go
there
home
and
and chill.
wanted to go home. And I think, like, in my mind and in my spirit, I was kind of like, oh wow, like, try to act like you enjoy your job or something, I don't
Mm,
know why I was even thinking that, but I just was. And then we
mhm.
get there, and then he talks like, oh, okay, that sounds like his voice, this must be him, but I really wasn't thinking too much about it. And then just hindsight, he turned out to be such a nice guy.
Yeah.
We ended up having a conversation. He said, "So what are you guys doing?" And we told him, like, "Well, we're going to start a podcast, and it's going to be about success and what everything that encompasses success. Like, you can't focus on your job 100% and not focus on your family, or you can't focus 100% on your family, not your job, or not looking at, some spiritual healing if you need that, or your health. Like, we want to look at all of that." And he was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." He's like, "I've been thinking about starting this and this," and like, and we both looked at him like, "Do it, start," he was kind of like, "So what's the name, of your podcast and your Road to Greatness?" We don't have anything up yet, but we'll send it to you. Speaking of which, if he has his number, you should send him some of our social media stuff.
For sure. For
But
sure.
yeah, um, yeah. So and we left thinking, because like, here he was at Walmart. He was talking to us a little bit about his ends being low, and he's got his wife and his kid, I think, and just was kind of like, you could just see it on his face, like he I think took his job seriously. Like, he wasn't there to slack off. He was very attentive to customers, because, and here's how I know. I have gone back to the same Walmart, to the same department, and have dealt with different people, and nobody has dealt with me the way that he did.
Oh
He
wow.
he was very willing to help us when he could, and very willing to be social and talk, and just
Yeah.
genuinely cordial. I've not met a person as of yet that matched his level of
Customer
just
service.
character. Yeah, just character and customer
Mm,
service. I think that was his natural personality, and even while he was talking to us, he was, cutting up boxes or moving around. Like, he wasn't just, sitting around on his phone or anything like that. And so, what an interesting thing for me. Like, definitely, what a lesson. Don't judge too quickly, because he turned out to be, probably one of the best, just department workers, Walmart there, that I've met. So in
mhm.
that department here. So I mean, what that was such an interesting experience, and I could just tell that he really wanted more, and I think he could feel it from us too, that we really wanted more, and we really wanted to also find ways to not only help our own situation, with everything that we go on, that goes on in our lives, but also, like, how can we then take that knowledge as we're seeking and then give it back, give it back to people and streamline that so that people can say, "Oh wow, never thought about it like that." So it was such a good experience.
Man, I remember that night too. It was a blast. And there's so many other experiences like that that we could share all night long about people who we have rubbed shoulders with and just shared with them, about this podcast. And you know what? They got such a fire lit underneath them. Like, I remember one example, our first guy who recorded, he actually went out and act on something he had an idea for, but after having our interview and just getting the title was just getting started, man, he went out, bought the equipment, and he just got ready to start his own little project. And I really like the idea that we're not just here talking about our own selves and just, hey, our life is great, you should be us. No, we are there with you to a certain degree. Everybody got their own struggles, everybody have their own cross to bear, but at the end of the day, we are just sharing some, not only light but some help from people who probably are like you and who've been there, and just showing you, hey, this is the way, let me show you how to get out of where you at. And sometimes that's all it takes is a helping hand. And this is what we're about, because we encourage you and get you motivated, highly elevated, to get you where you need to be.
Absolutely.
you know and man, I'm excited to see how many people we can stories we can share with our listeners. And some of these stories that we want to share is going to be some of you guys who are listening to us right now. Your story is going to be one that's going to be aired and say, listen, I was, in a bad place at a bad time, and I went home and just listened to these two guys, and what they said, or the person who they had on the broadcast, helped me through, and now this is my story, and this is where I'm at, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Soul Gin. How did you transition to that? What kind of struggles did you go through before Soul Gin? Um, just personally, professionally, um, and why you decided to go that route. And just kind of let's dive into that a little bit, because you kind of went from a semi-secure situation to a like unsure secure situation.
Yeah,
um
one can look at
and
it that way, yeah.
I
So
mean, I
let
guess
me go.
from outside looking in, like I wouldn't say it was like unsure, but it was just kind of like it wasn't like it was anything that you knew about, and it wasn't like anything you were searching for either. So, I mean, why don't you just kind of talk to a little bit about some of the struggles you were dealing with before Soljin, and kind of why you decided to go that route and how it's
Sure, I can
benefited
do
you?
that. I can do that. So a little context here. Soldier in Power is the current, job that I work at, where I help people go green by putting solar, uh, um, I guess solar energy on infused in their homes. So a little bit, last year around this time, I was working at a car dealership, and man, I literally had no place. I was literally staying with one of my friends, just crashing, and it was a studio, so I was tucked in a corner, and thank God for that friend, man, because he literally saved me, man.
Do you happen to be on a wireless headset?
No,
Okay.
no,
You might try starting over just a little bit if you don't mind.
can't you hear me?
You just cut out a couple of times. That's all.
I'm gonna put on my headphones.
No worries.
I'm gonna plug it in, and you tell me what's the status, okay? All
It's
right,
kind
so
of
I'm
like
putting it in now.
it's kind
Can
of
you hear me?
sporadic. Like one minute you're there, the next minute you're not.
Oh
I just
wow.
thought you should know, so like that way while you're talking, I don't want to miss anything you're saying.
Yeah. How about now? Can you hear me good now?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So it was a time last year around this time I was staying at my friend's place, and that's where I got to get to know you a lot much better. And during that time I was working at this car dealership, and man, let's just say things was really rough. I was selling, but I was still not making ends meet because I was still learning and training. So I was just making ends meet barely, until one day this guy came in the store and he was servicing his car, and I went up to him and you know he was not interested in buying. So I said, "Hey, let's just talk. Let's get to know each other." In my mind, so I was we ended up talking, and he started telling me about what he does, and he was like, "Hey, man, you're from the Virgin Islands. I bet they have a lot of solar power there and everything." And I start telling him about my background in solar and everything, and he invited me to come check out his office.
Hmm.
And unbeknownst to me, he already called all his partners and said, "Hey, I found a guy for Walla Walla." And I was really shocked, man. I couldn't even believe that. I remember telling you this story, and he was like, "Zang, son, yo," he was just shocked. And I remember going to his office, and after he talked to me, he was like, "Hey, the reason why I called you here is because I want you to work for me, man. I like how you talk and you treat people. You have great customer service. You have a great vibes about you, and I
Hmm.
guarantee you, if you come work for me, things how it is right now will definitely change." And fast forwarding to now, he was 100% correct. I mean, I'm no longer, crashing, at my friend's place. I got my own place, at least my own apartment. And, I mean, it is a complete night and day. And it's all because, I had to make that jump. Now, Chris knows this. I mean, you know this a lot, Chris, that it wasn't no easy jump, man. I really had a lot on my mind during that transition, to the
Right.
point where I prayed and fast about this because it was a huge deal, man. That was my
Yeah.
first job.
Well, and you were really going through some things too at the dealership and just personally, things that maybe I didn't even realize because I was so busy with my stuff too, but maybe stuff that I didn't even realize that you were struggling with.
Yeah, one can say, man, I remember one year I did really good. I sell, a lot of that was my best month, and I only got back like I think like under two, overall I just had 2 grand, and
Yeah,
for the month, and then
yeah,
after taxes was taken out, I only had like probably $1,800, and if you
right.
know
And how many
anything, that
hours were you putting in?
I was putting in 10 hours a day,
Hmm.
and I remember
6 days a week or just 5?
Uh, so Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursday, Friday, and Friday I got off a little early because my Sabbath, and
Yeah,
then Saturdays I have off and Tuesdays I had off. So but man, I was putting in a lot of time and a lot of work, and
right.
I was like, they got to be more. They got to be more to my life. It cannot just be evolved around work, man. They got to be more. I don't know why many workplaces they want you there for almost 365, but they only give you a week off. And I'm like, man, it got to be more to where I can just if something important is happening in the life of my family member, such as a milestone, such as a graduation, a wedding, or even just a family reunion, I don't have to worry about how many hours I have put in or how many sick days or none of that. I have the freedom to go, and this is one of the
Right.
blessings that this job offered me, that I have now. But I just have to say, it's been a good transition from where I was and where I am now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but I mean, I do know.
No, my question, I just really want you to just go through it. I want you to just like really just tell me, things that you were dealing with and
Yeah.
how you overcame it and what what that decision means now
Hmm.
and what you're currently going through. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to hear that.
And one thing, I do know is, listen, if you don't have a goal to your day for your life, man, basically life will run you, not you running life. And you always have
Hmm.
to remember you're the master and commander of your own ship. So row well and live, man.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, if you don't have goal sets, goal, you have placed, to achieve in your life, man. Listen, it's not going to be a productive life, and I know this for a fact. If you have goals and something is not bringing you closer to it, it's keeping you back, and you have
Yeah,
to make those changes. That way you can get one step closer to your
yeah.
goals. And many times people can confuse, get confused on, a lot of things, to get in what goals, or, get confused on their parents' goal and not their own goals, and,
Yeah.
someone else's dream and not your own dream. And goals
So
and
let's
dreams can be kind of intertwined, you know what I mean?
yeah, and I want to kind of talk about what you said. Like, you need to have goals, you need to make changes, and you said that you were working at this dealership, and this couldn't be it, and so you made this switch over to Solgen, and the pay structure was considerably different,
Yes,
but
yes.
also not so much to where you didn't understand it. Like, you understood what you were going to be getting into, and for a lot of us, like me, I have a 2-year-old daughter, I have a wife. um I would find that decision to be a little bit more challenging,
Hmm.
if especially if it's something that I've never done, and I
Yeah.
also am like, ooh, like, I hope this works out, because if it
Hmm.
doesn't, um man, I'm in some trouble here. And I
Yeah.
think it would be good to hear a little bit, like, yeah, you should make goals, but how do you reconcile making that decision? Especially, you're a single man. You can hop and skip and jump and go where you need to go.
That's
For
right.
some
That's
of
right.
us out there, and some of our listeners, it's a little bit more challenging. Not to say it's not possible, but it's a little bit more challenging. So when you're making goals, can you tell me a little bit about your process, how you make goals? Can you talk to me how, you know, you methodically think that through?
Hmm.
Do you just jump at the first opportunity?
That's a
What's your
great question.
strategy?
But yo, you know how my strategy worked to a certain extent, and you're even part of it. And the way how that works is when I make a goal, I make a goal for not only my present time, but for my long term, and to be met. And it's like, hey, where do I want to be, when I'm at this stage in my life, and where do I want to be, probably in the next month or two, you know and each, like, there's the dream, and the goals is what gets me to that dream. Now, how do I go about acting on it is, this step, when I change, I seek the counsel of so many people, before just hopping in. It was not just a spontaneous, okay, cool, I'm gonna just jump. I remember being approached about this, and then I joined part-time February of last year, and then I came in full-time to Solgen around March. And it wasn't just, oh, I'm quitting right now and then. And even, and truth be told, I didn't even get paid the first month or two and a half, or when I first started off.
Hmm.
And the pay was, you get paid based on commission, whereas I'm leaving a job that gave me, if I didn't, it was commission, but if I didn't make a lot, I just got minimum wages, you
Right.
know and I was like, man, I'm worth more than that. And
Hmm.
that's part of, how I go about setting my goal. You have to know what you're worth, man. You got to
Yeah.
know, hey.
So talk to
Uh-huh.
me, and I hear you on setting the goals, but talk to me a little bit more on your process. So you mentioned that you seek counsel.
Yeah.
You know, I think I can set goals till kingdom come, till I'm blue in the face. But if I don't make a plan on
Right.
how I'm going
Right.
to fulfill those goals,
Hmm.
they won't get done. I can say, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? Especially with, when I have my time schedule the way that I have it, I have to be very disciplined with my time. So, you know, I want you to, if you don't mind, just talk to me a little bit about your process.
No problem, man. So my process, which I started, I seek the counsel because I already thought it through on my own. Now I'm calling people who are my close friends and people who I look up to see if what I thought of aligns with theirs. And not only that, the advantage in seeking counsel is you hear perspective that you probably did not consider. You hear some opportunities that can get you to go much more better and much more efficient. Then after I do that, I start putting it in, into action and making it practical. How does that apply to me now? You know, and I gained advice of how can it be done. And a lot of times, people, do I remember reading this book many times. You have to envision it, but okay, what does that mean? You always have to work to it daily, like you always have to be feeding. That's part of the process. You have to be feeding your brain, positive energy, whether it's in motivational, books, music, or even just looking at your dream house on a wallpaper. All these things help in the process of getting you to your goal. And then, the way how I do it is I talk to people who have done it, and then they give you step by step, and they even help you in connecting you. And truth is, networking is the key to success, man. Networking has helped me in so many ways, and that helps you achieve your goal much quicker. So that's also
Yeah.
part of the process, meeting people who have done it and who can help you do it.
Right.
And the saying, you are the average of the five people you hang around with. And if you do not, you know open up your networking, I guess wings, or your arms, or just spread, your horizon for your network. You, your your chances of expanding your progress of reaching your goal is sometimes limited. It's
Yeah.
and most times limited,
And it kind of goes back to you had to basically leave, the Virgin Islands, and you had to kind of go out into the unknown,
But a lot of it
and
is kind of
essentially
proper
maybe
timing.
that's how you kind of tackle even some of the decisions that you make is, you know,
Mhm.
yes, you need to, go into this, but you go into it informed. You do ask questions, and you don't take um, everything as face value, right? Like maybe you might do research.
Research,
You
yep.
might actually take the resources around you and say, okay, I'm going to actually figure this out a little bit, know what I'm kind of going into, ask some questions to some people that I think are worth asking questions, and I'm going to kind of get some counsel, and I'm going to think on it for a few days,
Mhm.
and and I'm gonna definitely, pray about it. I remember you kind of came to me just even before switching to Soulja, and like, I just don't know, man. I don't know if this is the direction I should go. I feel like it is, but I just don't know. And I remember, I didn't have much for you. It's like, I really don't know. I don't even remember what we talked about, other than just maybe I said, you really just have to, you're in a position where you could make this
Mhm.
transition. Um, but if you're gonna make it, I think I've always told you, just know what you
Mhm.
don't know.
That you
Be
bring
as
up a good
informed
point
as you
there,
possibly can.
because man, Confucius says this quote, and I remember watching this, and I learned about it through one of my favorite series I enjoy watching, which is The Amazing Race. Man, one day I hope to go on it. But he says, in all things, success depends on previous preparation, and without such previous preparation, there's sure to be failure. And it's the same thing when it comes to goal. I mean, you have to prepare. That comes through research, like you said, and also, placing, even deadlines, because many times we want it, but we're not willing to act on it. And w- that it all has to come together, and a lot of that time, the preparation, it's part of the process. That's a big key to achieve those goals. Now, with that being said, and this is something I know you and I can talk large about. Part of success is failures too.
Yeah,
And trust me, I mean, if you want to be successful but don't want to fail, you're in the wrong business, man. Because that's how you
yeah.
learn.
Well, I just saw a quote like that today. It said, "Failure is not the opposite of success; it's part of
That's
success."
true.
I just saw literally just saw a quote right before I got on on here
That's the
with you. But
gospel of truth
I
right
thought that was
there.
interesting.
I mean, if you want to see a great man,
Yeah,
look beyond him as he is, or look what he was. You see a lot of failures.
right,
And the truth is,
right,
many times people are scared of the failures, but they want the success. And it doesn't come, it goes hand in hand, put it that way. And it's not because, it's just the way, listen, um, it, it, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And it's just the law of the land. If
right.
you want success, there will be some failures that you have to put up with, you know. But
Yeah,
the truth is, when you prepare for it, the amount of failures can be limited to the ones where it's inevitable, and where the ones where you can avoid, you know and that is meaning sometimes picking your friends wisely, because many times we do stupid things, and I can attest to that, because of of bad advice, or bad comics, like, hey, I dare you to do this or
yeah,
do that, you know what I mean. But it's just,
yeah,
hey, choosing your friends wisely, making proper preparation, setting the right goals, networking, and be willing to work hard. I mean, my boy Steve Harvey,
hmm,
hopefully one day he can truly be my brother, who I can just call up, to be a mentor. He says this: listen, many time people want the dream. The dream is free, but hey, you got to work hard for that, you know.
yeah,
And that part is sold separately. The dream is all free, but to get to that dream, to work hard, that's sold separately. The hustle, that is sold separately. And many times people don't want to get
yeah,
there. They want the end goal, but are
yeah,
they willing to do what it takes?
yeah. Um, so looking back, you were, at a dealership, you had what you could consider guaranteed
Yeah,
money
and
to
I,
switching
I
over
was
to
I was.
something that was not
hmm
guaranteed. How did you tackle that in your mind?
When I look at it, like,
Essentially,
yeah,
that's how it
how did I
is.
tackle it, man? I look at it this way. I was like, hey, where are you right now? Well, I'm in a job where everybody thinks I'm doing well, where everybody looks up to you. You come dressed nicely in your nice tie, nice dress shirt, pants, and everything. But man, you're struggling to pay your what you call it, your student loans. You're struggling to even just, hey, going out and eat and stuff like that. You got to be concerned of, I'm budgeting extra hard, man. And I don't use a credit card, so everything is on my debit card. So all that, I'm like, I'm just barely making ends meet. I would, even though I was on top of the 4% of best sales guy. And I was like, why is that? I
Right,
had several other dealerships saying, bro, come work for us. You're gonna definitely make more. But I didn't like that hustle, that
right,
type of hustle. Don't get me wrong. I like hustle, but I
right.
like to work smart. And I was like,
Hmm.
man, and trust me, the car business is a great business. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably, it could have been, for me, if I was in a different area, in a different setting altogether. But hey, I had to play the cards that I've been dealt with, and it was just not working out for me at that
Right,
point in my life. And I said, you know what, there had to be something more. And I said,
right,
what can it be? And one thing about me, Chris, you know this, I always say, listen, I will never get fired. It's either I quit or I stay. You know what I mean? And
hmm,
what means is, if I'm doing something, I'm giving it all, my all. I'm doing my best, you know? But while I'm doing that, if I am not happy with where I am, I'm looking for something better. And at this point, something
right,
better came to me while I was looking. And it was just like such on
right.
time. And when I did the math, it made sense. It showed how I can make.
Well, you kind of even weren't
Mhm.
looking. You were just really kind of, you know, performing the way you would perform, if you were making $80,000 a year and you
Mhm.
weren't. You were performing as
Yeah.
if you were,
And that's the fact.
and you just happened to do it with the right
Mhm.
person.
I remember I reading this book by Zig Ziglar, and he said, "Listen, when you do your work to the best of your abilities, others take note to the point where they want you to come work for them, or they want you to work
Yeah.
alongside them. And this is something I've
Right.
learned. No matter what you're doing, man, give it your best shot because you just never know who's looking or who you might just rub shoulders with, and that's what
Right.
happened. This guy who founded this big
And
company,
now we're talking to you, the guy with the most sales in a
yeah,
month at
yeah,
Soulgen,
that's true.
and
That's true, man. Yeah, I got the
right,
most installed in a month, and then I got overall best sales guy, second place, only by a couple of numbers, man,
yeah.
at our Christmas party.
And here I think that you're just kind of just chilling at home, maybe waking up at 12 o'clock, maybe driving in your car, maybe catching a movie, eating a bag of chips. Is
Man,
that how your day
let me
looks?
tell
'Cause
you,
here I thought that's
let me
what you
tell
were
you,
doing.
when you work hard, then you can then cruise, but then you always
Right,
applying. You see, the thing about cruising is, though you may not see it, but the car is always applying gas, but it's not as applying it as hard as if it's just starting to pick up
right,
speed. No, it's just applying enough to keep that car moving at that momentum. And that's the thing. When I first started this
right.
job, man,
Eventually,
I
it'll
hustled,
stop cruising.
I hustled. My day started,
Yeah,
early, from 9, but and sometimes it end at 10 o'clock in the night. I'm just talking with clients on the
mhm,
phone, hustling, driving, going to install, making sure that all my clients' needs are being met to the point where now it's
right,
paying off to the point where clients are coming to me. I don't have to go out to them. They're calling me. Hey, so and so, tell me you did
right,
a truly exceptional experience. You provided one for them. And I must say, man, while I put that phrase in there, the guy who taught me everything about sales, man, I have a lot of respect for him. Po Chow, man, everything I learned about sales, this guy taught me, and I'm still learning, and I'm just modernizing
yeah.
and building up on what he taught me. But he was like, listen,
Poe was your manager at the
and
dealership,
in,
right?
in, in many cases, even a mentor, man, he really looked out for me and in a very positive way. When I needed a
Yeah,
ride, he came through for me, man. And I really appreciate that.
yeah,
But he was like, listen, people don't just buy because of the product. No, most time they buy because of you, how you made them feel, how you
yeah,
answered, how you solved their problems. How can you connect the pieces for them?
yeah,
How can you make their life much more convenient while putting a smile on their face? And
absolutely,
once you can deliver that and make the experience truly exceptional, you have won. You have won. And one mean doesn't mean you've just gotten
absolutely,
a sale and you just got paid. No, you've just won a client for life because that client will bring other clients. That client will not only bring other clients, but it's just a ripple effect that keeps on going. You know what I mean? And the
yeah. So and what's cool about it is too is you were able to take something from it. It wasn't
hmm
necessarily the hustle for you, but you were able to take something from
you
it.
know,
You were
that's
able
true.
to, move on to the next stepping
Yeah,
stone. It's been a
and
good ride for you. It was a good
and it
decision.
was timely too.
Learned
Another
a
thing is, listen about opportunities is it is only there once, and it doesn't stay for you. And that's the truth about it, man. Many times I hear people who who have an opportunity in front of them and they sit down on it until that train left, and when they're ready now it's already too late because, hey, that opportunity said you're not ready, I'm going to find someone who else is ready. And that's something you have
right,
to be prepared for because when opportunity come knocking on your door, you better be ready to answer it, man. And part of answering it
right,
is being curious, being aware of your surrounding, what's happening, around you, and just
right.
keeping your eyes and ears peeled, and you must have a hunger for wanting to, get better, you know.
Right.
And Chris, you too, man. Man, you got an opportunity. You saw it. You saw I was not really using my camera, and now you purchased it, and now you're getting jobs from it too. So you know a little thing about. You got some testimonies on your own.
Well, so I haven't gotten a job from it, but I guess I can kind of start on my end a little bit. Um, I was in a situation back last year where, my wife and myself and my daughter, we were essentially homeless. We were living with a friend, and they became
Amen.
family. Um, and it was rough. It was rough, but it could have been harder. But that experience like really got me to thinking like, man, I've got to do. uh, You think I would have thought about that before, and I did. I was working very hard. Let's. I don't want to confuse people. I was working very hard. It had not my sense of work ethic had nothing to do with our situation, but I felt like a
Mm,
failure. But it wasn't because I wasn't moving and I wasn't acting and I wasn't, trying. From 6 to, you know, 6 in the morning till sometimes 10
mhm,
o'clock at night. Same
mhm,
thing. It was not through a lack of trying. My situation was very different, which we can talk about in a future show. But you know, I had been talking with, one of my friends there that we were living with, and I said, "Man, I don't know what to do, but I need to do something." And essentially, it led me back to Walla Walla. I finished up some prereqs. I originally was going to do nursing. I eventually moved out to Spokane. I said, "No, nursing's not for me." Picked up a job with the intent that I was going to be starting my prereqs to go into physical therapy, and I'm on that track. And it's been such a good ride because I said I want to do it. We take my daughter every other week now for physical therapy for her, and we've been doing this since she was like 3 months old. And I said, this is interesting to me. I love learning about the human body. I love how these people interact with my daughter, and they just genuinely look like they love their job, and I said I want to do
mhm,
that. um and so it's been a really good ride, and I picked up a job at town park valet. Um and you know it was full of challenges. I don't want to like get into bad mouthing, but it was full of
mhm,
challenges. Many, maybe even how I responded. So a lot of learning curves too, and how to, um, respond to some of the situations that I went through. But inevitably, I left, and shortly after
mhm.
that, I did purchase a camera, and I've been trying to really just. I think when I first purchased the camera, I was like, "How do I even turn it on?"
I
It's been
remember
so
that. I
long
remember that.
since I touched it. Yeah, like it's been so long since I touched it. Now I've kind of navigated my way through it. I'm familiar with it. I know kind of what I'm doing, but I'm just kind of going around and pointing and shooting, trying to practice. I haven't actually gotten any jobs out of it yet. Um, my goal is really to start picking up my portfolio, and I have definitely been trying. I've been reaching out to local magazines, offering freelance services. I reached out to a local photographer, offered to help in her studio, offered really just anything and everything to do with cameras and photography, in that realm, videography. I've been trying to just immerse myself in it and get connected with people in the area, to really just kind of hone in on that craft, because I know that when I'm passionate about it, and I know that when I get to the point that, wow, okay, like this kid's really good, I'm gonna be attracting people. I won't have to search so much. People will start coming to me, and I'll be able to give them some really quality footage, or photography is my goal, because I want to inevitably
Mhm.
do that,
And man, I know for
while I'm
sure you're
doing
gonna get there. I've seen your work, and you're already ahead of the game, man. And you're sharpening those skills, man. And I know you're gonna get there, man.
yeah. Yeah, and daily I'm just trying. We had a conversation about, well, how do you get better, and you just
It's a daily
you just
process.
daily daily. daily
every
process. You
day.
just get up and you say, I'm gonna shoot at least one photo, or I'm gonna just try this, or I'm gonna
Or
try
every day
that.
I'm going to the gym.
Curiosity, you know.
You
That's
know,
right. That's right. And so I really have been taking that to heart, and I've really been reaching out to people and really
you
trying to
know,
learn as
like the
much as I
saying
can.
says, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it was built one day at a time. And that's the truth of on the road
Yep.
to greatness. You don't get to your destination in just 1 hour or 1 minute, man. It's just you just have to get on the road, man, and one step at a time, one exit at a time, 1 mile at a
Yeah.
time, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how, like, when we think about it, like how we want to speed up the process, but you
Mm-mm.
can't. It's so much sweeter when you
Yeah,
don't. And, you can look at it this way, and this seems really simple, but every time I microwave something, it just does not taste as good when I cook it fresh on the stove
man, that
or
is
on a
so true.
fire.
Oh,
You
I
know
know.
what I mean? It just tastes so much better when you take your time with it. Um,
Isn't that the truth?
and it seems kind of cheesy to say it that way, but such is the thing with the
Man, even
process.
cheese don't
When you
taste good
take your
from the
time,
microwave.
it's so much sweeter,
That's
so
so
much
true, man.
sweeter.
Hey, tell us that story about how you was preparing some eggs the other day and how when you rush it, it doesn't, man. I think there's somebody need to hear that.
Oh, well, I was cooking eggs with a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, I'm kind of hungry. He's like, well, there's some eggs in there if you want to cook with some eggs. I said, you want me to do up an omelet? He's like, yeah, bet, for sure. So, of course, like I hooked him up first. It was his eggs, and I took my time with it and served him up an omelet. And he was like, man, are you some sort of chef? Or are you attending culinary arts that I'm not aware of? And I said, no, sir. I just kind of took my
Mm-hmm.
time with it. And while the process was really nice, it received like it and ended up in a really good result. I got
Mm-hmm.
hungry, and I just was like, I couldn't wait anymore, and so I cooked up my omelet. And by the end of it, I had this like weird scrambled egg cheese omelet. It wasn't even an omelet anymore. It was just like
Oh man,
goulash.
man. But man, it just makes a difference when you take your time and you're deliberate in your success or you're on your way to greatness. You're motivated. You're determined. Man, it comes out looking like a five-star resort, man.
Yeah. So how much? So I mean, and this kind of is a nice segue into how much time do you need to take before you get to the point to where it's time to start. It's time to just do it. Stop being afraid that you're gonna make your omelet a nasty scrambled
So
cheese egg.
that is,
You know,
uh-huh.
and you look at life. When is it time to
So
just
that's a
say,
good question. That's a good
that thing
question.
that I've wanted to do, that person that I've wanted to mend things with,
Ooh, nice.
that yeah, the relationship that I've wanted to mend
Or
but
the
just
relationship you want to
haven't,
start.
or right, or the relationship you want to start, like whatever it is, like even if it's not an activity, or that thing with your health, like I'm ready to be a vegan. I don't know, give up meat. Like what is it? Where is that? Look, can you
Oh
help me
man, no
understand
worries.
that a little
So
bit?
one
Let's
thing I
help each
learned
other.
is not listen, it's action. And action doesn't mean you start right away, but you can start preparing to start. What do I mean by that? Once you are progressing, you're doing something that's getting you closer to your goal, you've started, believe it or not. Like for instance, one doesn't just start a marathon on the day of the marathon. Do you see what I'm saying? It starts by preparation.
Yeah,
Yo, you bring your time, even if if to do 2 miles, it takes you 30 minutes. Listen, at least you started running one day. You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
like, let's say you starting,
yeah,
you want to mend that relationship, man. It takes by, hey, thinking about that person, all right? Then checking in to see, hey, how is that person doing? Whether it's from other people, see where they are, and then doing your research when is a good time to call them. You know what I mean? Or let's switch it up to,
yeah,
hey, you want to start a business. You always think about it. You always talk about it. Well, start to act on it. Start looking in how much would it cost to start. Start looking into the pricing of your what how much what you should start charging for your product or service. Start talking to the people who are doing it,
yeah,
who are in this industry. Start asking them the pros and cons.
yeah.
This is how you start. So when you start, when
So
you actually start, you have the proper preparation and you have done your research. You kind of know the game now. You're not a novice in this, ball game. You can now start, actually, because your thing is you want to just start a forward motion, whether it be slow, as
right,
Dave Ramsey call it, the snowball effect. It starts small, but it's gonna pick up. It's gonna get big, and before you can't stop it because you're on the road to
yeah,
success. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. And so let me play devil's
Go
advocate a
ahead,
little
shoot.
bit, but what do you say? What do you say to those people that just don't start? Like, because starting, even just starting that one, 30-minute a day thing. I mean, when do you finally just say enough's enough? When do you start saying I'm just tired
I'll
of
tell
being
you. I'll tell
tired?
you. Life,
Like,
life.
when does
Listen.
that
l-
and
Go
how
ahead.
does that motivate you to say it's time? Because there's some people out there who, like, even just when they look at your health, they're like, man, I'm 600 pounds. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not moving out this chair. Somebody give me a burrito because I'm not going nowhere. I'm not trying to run. I'm not trying to push up,
Listen.
you know. I mean,
Prevention is
what is gonna be what's the catalyst?
listen. Prevention is better than cure. And what do I mean by this? If you don't act, life will act, and that's the worst. That's the worst. You see,
Yeah,
when you sit down and life start to move in, you starting to go to the hospital, and they said you have this, you have that, you have this, you have that. Yo, it's never too late. But listen, why not just act now and prevent it? Now you might say,
yeah,
hey, what do you say to that person? At the end of the day, you gotta look yourself in the mirror, man. You have to, and you to thy own self be true. That was a quote my English teacher always used to say. I don't know who she got it from, but to thy own, I think it was Shakespeare. To thy own self be true. At the end of the day, you gotta look at the judge in the mirror. That's yourself. You can't lie to yourself.
hmm
You can think so, but at the end of the day, hey, you tripping. You can do better than that. And what we do, we get distracted to ease that disappointment of, like, man, you're not, you're supposed to start on that. So we get distracted with so many things, whether it be Netflix, whether it be going to the casino, whether it be just, forming the fool, or going to, we get distracted with so many things to just avoid facing the truth. And at the end of the day,
yeah,
hey, it doesn't push away the truth. The truth still remains. This is the case. And then you wonder why so many people, get all depressed and everything. This may be a factor that plays into it, along with many other things. You know, but at the
what's a
that
factor?
hey, you're running away from, like what is the thing that, the factor that I'm talking about is, at the end of the day, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and face the truth. Hey, you're unhappy with where you are physically. Hey, start, even if it's, walking. Start. At the end of the day, you're unhappy with the paycheck you're getting, you're unhappy with the way how your boss is treating you. Hey, you know you're worth better than that. Find someone who will, or start something where you know you appreciate it. Let me tell you, do not settle for lukewarm. Listen, I remember this. Listen, Goldilocks. Wait. Hold up. Goldilocks. Listen, do you remember the story about Goldilocks? She ate the first porridge. What was it? Cold. She knew that wasn't for her. She ate the second one. It was what? It was too hot. All right. People be like, "What's wrong? It could be. It's better than nothing." So she could just blow it. But she knew what already that was not for her. Then when she got to the last one, it was just right. Many times we stay too long on the thing that's not for us. We settle. Yes, your girlfriend tripping. Hey, listen. whether she's tripping in favor of you, meaning you can do better, or she just tripping because she's just a negative force, man, you gotta act. Listen, if you don't act, life
Yeah.
will. And listen, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you have to control that. You determine where lives take you, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your story, your script. You're writing this story, man. You are the one who is writing down the
Absolutely.
words for each paragraph, man. So at the end of the day, you got to make it happen. Because if you don't, hey, someone else will. And you'll be helping someone achieve their dream. And there's nothing wrong with that. But why not achieve your dream while helping someone too? Because at the end of the day, hey, we're in this world to help one another too. And that's why we're doing this whole thing. But it's part of achieving my dreams too, you know? So you might say,
That's right.
hey, uh, you know, always remember, I remember reading that everything that's in your life right now is because you allowed it. And this might be very hard for many people to comprehend. But listen, you're in that job right now is because you allow it. You are in this relationship because you allow it. You are getting this paycheck is
You
because you
signed up for
allowing
it.
it. At the end of the day, you have a choice.
Yep.
Choose well, man. Choose
Yep.
life and life more abundantly, man. And trust me, there is if you the moment you make a step, yes, it is full of uncertainties and a lot of Murphy's law lurking around the corner. But with the right friends, the right advice, the right research, and the right spirit and determination and willpower, you could make it. I guarantee you. You take any person who have
Yeah.
a drive to make it, they will. Because I'm one. My
Yeah.
boy
Well, we can
T
have
Square is
an
one.
entire podcast on making the right choices,
And we
or just
trust me, we're
making a
gonna have
choice.
one. It's not
Period.
we could, we will, because it doesn't end here. But you know
Yeah.
what? I'm looking at the time, and I'm telling you, man, we got lots to discuss, and we're gonna tell you more when we come back, right, Chris?
Elton, why don't you leave us? Well, why don't you leave us with a quick little
A
thought,
quick little
and
thought, man.
let's
All
get
right,
out of
I
here.
got one from you. Over the Christmas time, I've been listening and watching a lot of Christmas, but one of those sayings came from one of my favorite Christmas movies, A Christmas Carol, with Ebenezer Scrooge and the three spirits of Christmas, past, present, and future. And one of the things I got and I will always remember is this quote: there's never enough time to do or say all the things that we would wish. The thing is to try to do as much as we can in the time that you have. Remember, time is short, and suddenly you're not there anymore. We want to see you next time on our podcast on the road to greatness. Signing off, it was a pleasure from your co host Elton and C Square. We'll see you next time. Signing off.